Hey there, and welcome back to RedSpark's Crypto Blog for your Cardano and crypto news. Today we're going to be talking about the Ethereum virtual machine. Is it Avalanche's biggest weakness? But before that, a quick look at the markets. Bitcoin has dropped to a low of 56k, so that's sure to alarm a few people. Cardano is also not looking too great at $1.77, and just generally the rest of the market is really just looking towards Bitcoin. So the big question is, what is Bitcoin going to do next? As ever, my answer is I have no idea. I don't think anybody really does. I haven't cashed out. I'm still in crypto. I'm not panicking. But then again, my situation might be different to yours. So make your own decisions based on your own research. I am not a financial advisor. Generally, if I had to take a guess, and bear in mind how wrong my guesses normally are in the short term, I don't think the bull run is over. I think Bitcoin is probably going to keep going down to, 50k or something. And then probably by, mid-December, it'll start to go back up. I'm not expecting it to suddenly shoot up by the end of November. But then again, as I said, given how wrong I usually am, maybe it now will. So there you go. You can thank me for it if it does. Solana, I keep expecting Solana just to plummet one of these days. I just think it should get replaced with Avalanche. I don't think you need Solana when you have Avalanche. Although, as I'm about to talk about, Avalanche may have its own weaknesses. Let's see if there's anything of note as I scroll down. Elrond is doing good. I've heard some YouTubers talk about this, and you can see it's been shooting up. To me, the fact that I'm paying attention to this, I've learned from experience, it usually means it's reached a peak. So I'm expecting this to now sort of go up a little bit and then to dip. Just based on the fact that by the time I take an interest in something, that's usually the case. So that's what I would expect. Cosmos, it's interesting to see how Cosmos has been plodding away. It's a smart contract platform that's been around for a while. I'm surprised Cosmos doesn't get more attention. I'm not sure what it is they're doing wrong. I mean, I'm sure that they're not doing anything wrong, but somehow they've just never been in the top 10, at least in the time that I've been in crypto. Okay, so that's everything from the crypto news. Lots of red there. So yeah, a lot of concern in the market, but don't look to me for answers. Moving on. So as you probably gathered from recent videos of mine, this whole Avalanche versus Cardano topic has been occupying my mind of late. And in particular, what I've been trying to figure out is Avalanche superior technology to Cardano? And I think my thoughts on this are mixed. I think their consensus protocol is pretty good. I don't think I've seen any real weaknesses. In theory, Cardano did not go down the same consensus, the use of a BFD consensus, because of concerns about decentralization, because a BFD protocol generally requires knowing your node operators, how many you have in your system. And as a result, Avalanche has a minimum of a 2-week lockup period. I do think actually the 2-week lockup period isn't that bad. I mean, it's not like locking things up for a whole year. It's just 2 weeks. And it means that people don't panic buy and people don't panic sell, I should say. So I think I personally could have lived with a 2-week lockup period if it meant much faster finality, which Avalanche has. However, on the flip side, the area that I've been seeing as a potential weakness for Avalanche is that it does require on EVM for its smart contract solution, i.e. it has not taken the time and effort to build out its own smart contract computation layer, such as we've done in Cardano with Plutus. And that has kind of been coming to a head recently. So you may have been aware over the weekend, this prominent investor in the Ethereum space tweeted, yes, I have abandoned Ethereum despite supporting it in the past. And this red triangle here is the red triangle of Avalanche on Twitter. So whenever you see that, it means somebody's an Avalanche supporter. I don't know if there's a similar thing we can use for Cardano, but a copyright symbol maybe for letter C. I don't know. But yes, so this is somebody who switched over to Avalanche. Ethereum has abandoned its users despite supporting them in the past. The idea of sitting around jerking off, well, I won't go into all of that. It's a bit of a gross sentence. But getting to the gist of it, it spawned a whole big debate and backlash against this person from the Ethereum community. And had an interesting debate of Avalanche versus Ethereum ultimately, because this person is saying that Avalanche is better and they should devs should switch to using Avalanche. So then the argument kind of culminates here, as far as I'm concerned. Tim Bako, who's one of the lead Ethereum developers, lots of thoughts on the conversation this weekend, and while I think there is a charitable interpretation to some of the criticisms, let me start by saying, okay, blah blah, they just have a little bit of an argument. Really, it comes down to, after this sort of back and forth bickering, really, that's what it is, bickering up there, this is the interesting statement. AVAX has genuine innovation at the consensus layer, and I agree with that, but basically still uses Geth for anything state related, which is where most of Ethereum's scaling woes come from. I also don't think they've submitted any noteworthy improvement back. Geth is from what I googled, a command line interface for the Ethereum node. But from what I know of Avalanche, the place where they would use Geth would be the EVM, the C chain. The C chain is essentially an EVM, a Ethereum virtual machine where they run Ethereum smart contracts. And that will be the bottleneck that Tim's pointing out, that ultimately they're still reliant on Ethereum for their actual smart contract layer. Therefore, any weaknesses with that, with Ethereum, would also manifest itself in the smart contract layer in Avalanche. I wrote that there wasn't any real response to this because somebody butted in and said, thanks for the clarification, but let's not take the bait of some VC who shorted ETH before posting, which is reference back to the original person. But somebody replied, no, they did, yeah. But I'd actually like to know more about this. Sounds pretty significant. Are we saying because Avalanche still uses an EVM, it has the same scaling issues regardless of their consensus protocols? I have no idea if anyone's going to reply to me, but I feel like this is where the conversation was just about getting interesting and it came to a halt. So that was my first sort of clue as to what might be a chink in Avalanche's armor. Then the drama of the last day. So Avalanche did an upgrade to atomic transfers. I haven't had a chance to read this portion, exactly what this. I mean, I know there's a P chain and a C chain, and there's sort of transfer between them. But Avalanche faced some scalability issues yesterday with transactions sort of slowing down. This is the interesting Twitter thread. So here's where Patrick O'Grady, who's one of the lead developers of Avalanche, is introducing it. He talks about how that all went, but then he talks about some of the issues that they were facing. So the number of transactions was going up. Let's see. So yeah, this is all. Okay. Oh, yeah, we ran a large number of simulations to generate the parameter set, but there's nothing quite like the real world. In other words, once they started implementing Apricot in the real world, they started seeing issues. Although Apricot 4 succeeded in reducing contention in the C chain, we saw the minimum gas price oscillate at a higher rate of change than in our simulations. From 1 minute to the next, we observed changes of 20 to 50%. And that concurs with what I've been hearing some others say, that fees on Avalanche were quite high yesterday. This directly impacted the experience of some users who saw their transactions stall as a minimum gas price jumped by the time their transaction made it into the mempool. Those users would then need to wait for the minimum gas price to go down before seeing their transaction. So yeah, unpredictability around gas prices is never a good thing. Starting in Apricot 5, Moderato is now parameterized, blah, blah. So basically, they made some improvements. The additional gas price stability should make transaction construction more reliable. The increased target gas consumption should reduce the average gas price, and increased block batching should increase the number of transactions that are processed at a given gas price. Over the next few months, we will continue to pursue EVM optimizations that justify the further increase of target gas consumption. Any EVM agnostic improvements will be shared with the broader community for review and/or usage. So this last tweet here really pretty much sums it up. They're clearly having some issues by the fact that they're using EVM as their smart contract computation layer. And they're having to put in workarounds to fix those. And one thing I should have mentioned, Apricot 5, this update that they're doing, that's what they're releasing onto their testnet tomorrow. And then, provided that goes well, they'll release it onto mainnet, and that date is to be announced in the coming days, but I think I read somewhere it's likely to be the beginning of December. So that raises a question. I mean, I'm going to have to dive a lot deeper into this and understand how much of an issue is it that they're relying on EVM. The fact that even Ethereum, the lead Ethereum developer, was pointing out that their Avalanche's biggest issue is the fact that they're using Ethereum was quite telling. But it all goes to point towards the fact that Plutus might be the better computation layer here. That might be what we find out in the next couple of months once DEXs like SundaeSwap and others launch, and if we find they scale up without any problems. The fact that PAB is a little bit delayed, I know people are a bit annoyed that it's now going to be December to January, which really, as I say, with a lot of IOHK updates, you have to read between the lines. So I think it was Nigel Helmsley about a month ago in the mid-month update, I think, he alluded to the fact that the PAB might be ready in December, but a lot of devs will want to test it for a couple of weeks before they actually launch. You'd have to be a brave dApp developer to launch early whilst the PAB hasn't been fully tested. So anybody who takes it seriously will want to fully test out this PAB before they launch, not just launch for the sake of being first to market. So that's why I don't think a lot of dApps are going to launch until January and February. However, SundaeSwap is one of the dApp developers that IOHK has been partnering closely with, and they're using, I believe, SundaeSwap as one of their sort of test cases. So I would imagine that when SundaeSwap launch, and from what I've heard, SundaeSwap have their own customized PAB. So hopefully SundaeSwap can launch in December, which is kind of the rumors I've been hearing, but I might be wrong on that. But if SundaeSwap can launch in December and prove to the world that Cardano can scale without any issues, I think that will alleviate a lot of investor concerns. And then hopefully there'll be a lot more great dApps to follow. Going back to Tim Baker's comment about Ethereum State, I had a quick look at the Ethereum virtual machine page on ethereum.org. Ethereum State is a large data structure which holds not only all accounts and balances, but a machine state which can change from block to block. So Tim was probably referring to the Ethereum global state, the one that's been causing them a lot of headaches. How do you shard that when your dApps do need access to the full state of Ethereum, which is very different to how Cardano runs, where each UTXO process is limited to the amount that they can see, and they don't have full access to the entire blockchain, which makes it much easier to parallelize and shard. So that's really it from me. I'm still learning a lot about this myself, so don't necessarily assume everything that I've told you is correct. I'm just sort of taking you along in my thought process as I investigate this. If you do have more insight, you then feel free to share in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you do, and consider subscribing. And apologies I haven't done other broader Cardano or crypto news today. I'll try and get to those in tomorrow's video, but I hope you all have a great day.